Oh, yeah.
I'd like to call to order the April 21st, 2015 City of Statesboro City Council meeting. I'm going to ask Councilman Gary Lewis to lead us in our invocation and pledge of allegiance. Councilman Lewis.
Let us pray, please. Oh, gracious Father, we thank you for allowing us to see a day we never seen before in our life. We ask you also, Father, just be a fence around us and protect us as we travel through this whole weary land. Father, we ask you to just lead us, guide us where you have us to go, and bless those who in the hospital and nursing homes traveling through our city. Throw a loving protection around them as they do so. And all these blessings we ask in your Son Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You know, as always, well, first before we get started, we'll recognize Tom. Do you want to introduce your class? You're handing out stuff back there and let us know who you brought today with you.
First, I just want to say thank you for having us here. And one of the things in my class I require students to be punctual on time. And they didn't believe you'd start the meeting on time, Mayor, but I told them you would. So anyway, this is a class from American government, global issues, as well as state and local government at East Georgia State College. So I appreciate having us tonight. Thank you.
Okay, you making them stay the whole time?
Absolutely.
No, very
And
good.
then
We'll
they
try
gotta
to stretch it out for you. We're going to move on to agenda item 3, which is, we're going to begin with something that, you know, I know everybody around here that's either lives in the city of Statesboro, drives through the city of Statesboro, and just enjoys the wonderful streets and all that we have. We're going to take an opportunity to honor someone who's responsible for a lot of the beauty that you see around Statesboro. And I would ask Mr. Robert Siemens to come forward and talk about Mr. Henry Clay, who has been for years a member of the tree board here in Statesboro and has been chairman of that particular board.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Council, and thank you for your support for the tree board and for Mr. Clay's efforts. So I'd like to recognize Mr. Henry Clay today for his efforts on the tree board and the beautification committee, and we have some beautification committee members and some tree board members here. And just wanted to go over some of Mr. Clay's highlights. He's been the chairman of our board for 10 years. He's devoted a lot of his time to it, or most of his day to it. I'm going to be the new chairman. I think one of the first rules of any leadership is be careful about stepping into someone's shoes that are really big, that's done a good job. So I'm going to have a difficult time following you, Mr. Clay, and we appreciate all you've done. Let me give you a few highlights of Mr. Clay's career here in the city of Statesboro. He's done a lot of landscape plans. Mr. Clay's a landscape architect. He's a Master of Horticulture from UGA, a Bachelor of Science from Virginia Tech. There's a little known fact about Mr. Clay. He was a lieutenant colonel in the Army Reserves. Mr. Clay, appreciate your service. I'm going to go through his landscape plans that most of you in this building are probably are familiar with. The Honey Bowling Complex, the Live Oaks there, the Matthews Telephone Building, Ag Sal Farm Credit, Kentucky Fried Chicken, building the city parking lot across from the post office, which is next to Chops. The federal building with the Live Oaks, the post office, the new police station landscape plan, and he also helped with the Louis McTell Trail in Triangle Park. So these are all landmarks here in our city that Mr. Clay has had something to do with it. I mean, I'm an engineer, Robert's an engineer, Jason's an engineer. The things that we build probably have a service life of 50 to 70 years at the most. And Joey's an engineer, I didn't see Joey there, but the things that Mr. Henry Clay plants last 200 years and 300 years. So it's a big difference. The things that he's put in are going to be here after all of us are gone, and they're going to pass, and our children and our grandchildren are going to be able to enjoy the fruits of his labor. So, having said that, we'd like to honor Mr. Clay with his with this plaque. You have the plaque, Robert? And okay. Okay. Mayor, I got two more things that Robert wanted me to bring up, and that I think are important. The certified arborist program, Mr. Henry initiated that as well. He is a certified arborist, and also the tree ordinance. He initiated the tree ordinance in 2010, and that's something that's going to affect our city for years to come. Every new business that comes in is required to plant trees, and so it's going to change the dynamic and the look of our entire city based on this ordinance that he put in. So, no longer are you going to be able to have just a plain parking lot. So just that ordinance probably is more important than any of the other plantings and that the other 7 or 8, 10 items that landscape plans that he did. The tree ordinance will be far lasting, and it will be maybe the biggest impact on our city. But economically, people want to come to our city because of the way it looks and just for all of us to enjoy. So, Mr. Clay, would you come forward, please, and let the mayor present the plaque to you?
This is in appreciation of your service and leadership in the preservation and promotion of trees in Statesboro, presented to Mr. Henry Clay, Tree Board Chairman from 2005 to 2015, on April 21st, 2015. And listed as a quote at the bottom, which says, "If you think in terms of a year, plant a seed. And if in terms of 10 years, plant trees. If in terms of 100 years, teach the people." Thank you so much for your service.
Thank you, Wesley, for those comments. I appreciate every one of them, although they're not all true, but anyway, I appreciate it. I asked Robert Siemens if I would get a few minutes to respond to this recognition and honor that you've given me. Don't think I take it lightly, because I'm very serious about trees and beautification of this city. I've lived in, maybe 5 or 6 states and several towns, but my heart's in Statesboro, and believe me, I mean that. It's a wonderful place to live, and we all ought to be proud of it, and I think we are all proud of it. But I'd like to say that I got to thinking about this thing a little bit, and you know that when you get recognized for something, you think, well, you sound like Mr. Wonderful. You've done 10% of the work, but 90% of it has been done by other people on your committees and the people that you associate with at the city, administrators and so forth. So it really takes everybody to cooperate to get something done, and I found that to be true along the line. Things that I've kind of grasped along with my years is that you get things done by working with other people. And I wanted to say that I've been blessed by working with lots and lots of nice people, former mayors, former council members, former administrators here at the city. And I really I never have had any clash with anybody. It seems like we all seem to gather up and work together and try to get things done. And that's what's happened here in Statesboro. We've got a place that we can be proud of. And I would say that I've recognized a lot of people on the way up. I've worked with Robert Cheshire in several administrations, and Robert's always been there to fall back on when you need some help. We've worked with a lot of mayors as we come along the line, and every one of them has been supportive of not only the Beautification Commission, but the Tree Board. If something, you want to get something done, you go talk to them, and if the money's available, you're able to get some things done that you think ought to be done for the improvement of the city. Several years, some of the older people that we've worked with, Bill Mincy and his crew over at the cemetery, and they've always been happy to do things, and it even goes back to Hollis Martin a long time ago when we did a lot of planning of the landscape beds around the city. So all of these people deserve this honor. I wish you could list them all on the plaque because they're the ones that did the work. I just happen to be up at the top, helping along with it. And I would like to say this, that we had a little reorganization, and Robert Siemens became the liaison between the beautification and the tree board and the city administration. And Robert's been somebody phenomenal to work with. You know, he had a full-time job as a superintendent of the street departments and so forth. And they consolidated the cemetery and park division under him and gave him another big job. Not that he didn't have one he had already, but he's been wonderful to work with. And we've accomplished some things along the line thanks to him. Wesley mentioned the part that we did about certification of the people on the board for certified arborists, and I'd like to say a thing or two about that. The IAS, which is the International Association of Arborists, has a program where they have a six-week course, 1 day a week for 6 weeks. And we got together with Robert, and he got the money to finance to get us a teacher down in Hyattville, and we were able to put that on, and as a result, 3 members from the city administration became certified arborists. It was not an easy course. I've had college courses that baffle me, but that one was hard, and you had to study. But anyway, we made it, and Wesley's a member as certified arborist. Robert's a certified arborist. We have other members of the tree staff on the city that are arborists, and we're proud of that accomplishment. And it's been a wonderful time. Thank you so much for this recognition.
I just want to follow up, Wesley. I don't know if we're supposed to say this or not. So it's my understanding there will be a tree planted for Mr. Clay in his honor.
Yes, ma'am. At 9:30 at Edgewood Park this Saturday.
Okay.
Everyone's invited.
Yeah, I want to invite everybody to that. It's at 9:30 at the park in Edgewood subdivision. Okay, right off Gentilly this Saturday morning. So.
Thank you for remembering that.
Can I say a little bit more about that?
Sure.
It's a meeting with the Beautification Commission, Tree Board, and the Parks Division, and everyone that lives in Edgewood Acres. The tree dedication ceremony for Mr. Clay, that'll be at 9:30, I think. But the entire program is going to last about 2 hours. Robert Siemens has really gone above and beyond with reaching out to the neighborhood of Edgewood and got their input on what they would like to see with the park. And we're going to have some, we're putting some swings up, some trash cans, picnic tables, and what we're really going to do Saturday is unveil the master plan. And I hope that everybody, especially if you live in Edgewood or if you go over there and you like to go fishing, it is a public park. It's owned by Statesboro. Anybody that likes to use it, it'll be a beautiful ceremony on 9:30 Saturday morning. I hope that I can make it. My wife has not told me what my schedule is yet on Saturday, but I will do my best, and I want to say appreciation to Mr. Siemens for doing that, and Mr. Clay for all of his efforts in the last many years.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilman Reyes. Just waiting on Officer Forney to hold me on for that. Phone party foul. And again, thank you, Mr. Clay. You will be missed. That I can assure you. Ms. Sue, do we have any public comments under agenda item 4? Okay. Agenda item 5 is consideration of a motion to approve the consent agenda. I will ask council to please review that and then ask for a motion to approve.
Motion to approve the consent agenda is printed.
Do I have a second? Any discussion? All in favor, please state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Let's move to agenda item 6. Agenda item 6 is a consideration of a motion to approve resolution 2015-10, which is a resolution to approve adjustments to pay and compensation plan for 4 separate positions. I'm going to ask our Human Resources Director, Jeff Grant, to please come forward.
Good evening, council. What you see in your packet, you'll see 3 position summaries. I'll speak real briefly on behalf of the departments. They're making adjustments as well too, but if I miss anything, I'll defer to them to kind of speak more in detail of the adjustments that they're making. So what you'll see for human resources is what we talked about at our last work session. You'll see that it's for an HR coordinator, an additional coordinator. And the responsibilities for that position, they're going to serve as a safety coordinator. They're also going to take on additional duties as the employee relations and also recruitment and employment programs. The safety coordinator duties are currently assumed by the city's director of purchasing, and those duties will be moved to his position. These duties, generally, we're moving these duties, having them transferred to address some of the workers' comp issues that we've had. And then also as well as we intended to have this position budgeted in the new fiscal year. But we want to go ahead and get your approval so we can go ahead and start advertising. So more than likely, this person probably won't start the new fiscal year. If not, probably towards the end of this fiscal year, we're intending them to start. So also as well, you'll see in that packet under that position summary review, we're changing the, making adjustments to the title of the incumbent Human Resources Coordinator to a Senior Human Resources Coordinator. Only difference between the two is really just the level of experience, and we wanted to set it up that way, kind of to ensure some progression within the department. So we'll have a Human Resources Coordinator, Senior Coordinator, as well as Director of Human Resources. So there's no change of pay or anything like that, just the change in title. So. Also as well, you'll see in there under the Finance Department, the Division of Municipal Court, they're actually reclassifying a receptionist position. Incumbent in that position actually just retired in finance, kind of took it upon themselves to kind of evaluate the division. And after they evaluated the division, I think they determined that another deputy clerk would be appropriate to be in there. So that would be 2 deputy clerks plus the clerk of court. And basically that individual, that position would serve as kind of more or less help out with if they're going to be out, vacation, all those different things, workload within the department. And they didn't think that a receptionist was really going to kind of serve that need within the department. So another reason why that's coming before you today is actually we have to reclassify this position before we actually advertise it. So as soon as this position is approved, then we'll actually immediately advertise for that position. So third position you'll see in there is for the stormwater technician. And as many of you know, we just started the stormwater program, and this would be one of the positions that was a part of being approved through that program that you guys approved. So do you guys have any questions?
I just want to reiterate what Jeff is saying. The reason we're bringing them to you probably a month to 2 months earlier than we would have as a part of the budget was really all 3 of those positions you mentioned are very needed. The technician, the fact that we've had somebody retire in the municipal court, and then human resources, you know, the issues we're having with workers' comp. So we really want to get all those advertised and go through the advertisement, the interview process, go ahead and have that ready so when the fiscal year kicks in July 1, we're ready to go on all of those, and all those become very, very important positions.
Oh, these are, if I recall, everything here is in the budget, or the proposed budget for 16, correct?
That is correct. That is correct. And I'll make a note on the deputy clerk, the position for receptionist. I mean, the incumbent was here for quite a while, so there wouldn't be any extra money that you'd have to find for the deputy clerk. The money from the receptionist will cover that position in this current fiscal year.
So let me ask you what I was listening to. Is the motion is written accurate?
That is accurate.
Okay. else have any other questions, or any questions before I ask for a motion? Okay, do I have a motion to approve resolution 2015-10 as written?
Motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Do I have any discussion? Okay, all in favor, please state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Agenda item 7, consideration of a motion to award the contract for an integrated public sector financial management software solution to Tyler Technologies as they were selected through an extensive RFP process in the amount of $295,966. Mr. Franklin.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Darren, would you mind if I did my thing first?
Sure.
Before we got that? The mayor asked me to back up and go over a little bit of why we're doing so much software. You saw the public safeties on the most recent, I guess, maybe 2 council meetings ago when that was approved, and that was in the range of $500,000, and then this would be another $300,000, so a total of $800,000. I want to make sure that you know what you're voting on, why we needed this. So I did drop back and I listed a few things as to why, and then also I can tell you a little bit of the timelines and everything. We'll ask Darren to go over that motion. In essence, to start, we really wanted to get this all as one, utilize one vendor if possible, but as we were going through this vetting process, being the PD software, what they needed, and the other departments, which are primarily finance and utilities, what they needed, we found that there were really 2 different companies that rose to the top, but it wasn't any one for both of them when it came to reasons why PD needed. We needed to do software, of course, in addition to just efficiency and better effectiveness and being able to gather that data and do the reports that we need. We currently use MDS software. We use a software that's outdated. It's considered second tier, and it's relatively unsupported, I believe. And then, so again, as we went through that vetting process, the group that came to the top on that one was SunGuard software. Then as we started looking at the utilities and the finance, they also had, we've got an OAS 400 system that we've had for decades, and it's run its course. It's actually been a great program, but unfortunately, it's been poorly supported in recent years. And a lot of times, when we need a report, we need that data, even if we can get it. It's very slow and very cumbersome, and that the biggest thing with that, the AS400, is it's on its last leg as far as support. So it was a no-brainer that we needed the software. So again, as we were looking at it, we were hoping we would get one vendor, we'd get the same thing with PD and the same thing with the one that we need for everybody else. But in the end, Tyler Technologies, and we had a really good committee that vetted through that, interviewed everybody. We listened to not only their interviews, but we talked to references, we talked to people that they didn't necessarily put in their references, but we knew that they were using their software, and we got a lot of good positive feedback from them. So that's why, remember, we approved SunGuard a couple meetings ago, and now what Darren's going to talk about is Tyler Technologies, which is going to be for the rest of the software. Time-wise, looks like PD's is going to be in by August or September, which is good. I thought it might be a little longer than that. The reason that it's less and the reason it's that time frame is the fact that they don't have any data to convert. They're going to start with new information and just, I guess, save the other, but not have to redo it, input new. When it comes to the rest of the software, we're looking at 6 to 12 months to get all the modules in, but we're looking at doing finance and utility first, so they ought to be in the first 6 months, would be my hope. That's a little different. With that one, we're going to run the systems parallel. We won't turn the new one on until it's ready to go, but we'll keep the old data. And so the conversion obviously is much more in depth, and IT might have to answer that if you got anything specific. But Darren, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you. This is, I brought this before you before, the culmination of a 6-month process. We advertised, evaluated by committee, picked the top 2 presentations, made a visitation to an entity that has the same product. We were approved by council for negotiations, and we're making this recommendation. The numbers you see in your packet, the original offer, the negotiated amounts culminates in $295,966. That includes the first year of maintenance. Each additional year adds approximately 3% to the maintenance contract as you go year to year. I believe this will, we probably prefer to pay for this out of the GMA lease pool when it be charged to departments based on usage, and that's something certainly Cindy can elaborate on. And I'll tell you, Tyler Technologies is the parent company, Encode is the product. Encode's designed for cities of our size and a little larger, and that's what they were offering. Through this RFP process, we recommend council approve the mayor to sign a contract with Tyler Technologies for the stated amount. If so, the timeline Robert stated should be achievable.
Does this interface at all with our utility billing software? Will this interface?
Yeah. Yeah. Place it.
This, well, what did we, last, meeting, when we were talking about the new software was gonna go with the meters and that kind of thing, is that the same?
Okay, that's FlexNet.
That's what I'm trying to get everybody to understand, what is the, how does all this work together?
FlexNet.
You'll have to come to the microphone.
Okay. FlexNet will be a program where we'll be able to read our water meters and gas meters on demand. And in order to get there, currently, or one of the major obstacles is, currently we're reading our meters on 1,000-gallon consumption rate, and on FlexNet, we're gonna go down to a per gallon consumption rate. We'll still bill per 1,000. And so this software, has already got, I think, Perry and a couple of other cities that are on the FlexNet program, working great, and so that was part of the consideration in choosing this vendor. So it will allow us to move forward with FlexNet.
Okay, that was my question, I didn't phrase it very well, but that's what I was getting at, so.
But yes, so they have multiple cities in Georgia that are on the FlexNet.
So this particular product, once this is implemented, from a software upgrade standpoint, what is left?
Software upgrade.
If we're looking at any sector of the city,
We will still have to do something for our municipal court.
that's the one that's left, and we're not looking at using the module that the PD is using. Okay,
There is a vendor that we're looking at strongly right now, that kind of caters, they only do municipal court software for the state of Georgia, and they have, I'm going to go low, they have 75%.
but that will interface with the public safety software. Okay.
We did ask Tyler, they do have a module for that, but even they suggested that they would go with the other because until, and
That, in the state of Georgia, the company that does this, municipal court software, they are really good at holding your hands. And so they said that it's hard to compete in the state of Georgia.
now we'll add, Alan's looked at the contract, it's ready for you to sign. We can get out of the contract for any reason at any time, is that correct?
Hopefully we won't.
Hopefully we will not.
At
Okay.
what point would you get out of the contract? Prior to
If,
being enforced?
if the performance, yeah, if the performance isn't as we expect or any reason whatsoever, we're not bound.
Before or after we pay the
Yeah.
$200,000? I think I know where Councilman Gray's going.
Oh, yeah, I mean,
I'm sure they're like, hey, man, you want out?
well, we're very confident with it. We own the information rights, for a contract. Tyler is, they participate in many entities around Georgia. I think the committee is very confident that won't be an issue.
Any other questions for Mr. Prather? Mr. Taylor? If not, do I have a consideration of a motion to award the contract for an integrated public sector financial management software solution to Tyler Technologies in the amount of $295,966?
I make a motion to award the contract for an integrated public sector financial management software solution to Tyler Technologies as they were selected through an extensive RFP process in the amount of $295,966.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, please state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Y'all gotta remember, we only got 3 up here.
Sit around and wait.
Don't hang back.
296, you wanna be the one to jump up there?
Feel free to, speak up. Okay, we'll move to agenda item 8, which is consideration of a motion to approve summary change order number 1. Phase 1, I-16-301 utility infrastructure.
Van Collins, Assistant Director of Water and Wastewater. This item is pretty much the way the motion reads. It's a summary change order for Phase 1 I-16 project that's just the actual unit quantities of water and sewer infrastructure installed. It revises the original contract of $2,249,999.87 to $2,238,228.34, which is a decrease in $11,771.53. And once this is approved by council, we'll be able to release some retainage once we get the proper closure papers for that Phase 1 project.
Okay. Do I have any questions from council? So this will close out Phase 1, you're done?
Phase 1, that gives water in the force main to I-16.
Okay. And let the games begin after that, right?
And this is just for water, not sewer?
It's just for the 12-inch water main and a 12-inch force main, that Phase 2 will actually have a pump station pump into that force main and pump the sewage back to Statesboro.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Any other questions from council? Okay. If not, do I have a consideration of a motion to approve summary change order number 1?
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, please state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Agenda item 9, consideration of a motion to approve change order number 2 in the amount of $130,278.52 for Kiwanis Road Sewer and Water Project. I have here Mr. Johnson to speak to this.
Thank you, Mayor. Wayne Johnson, Director of Water and Wastewater. Before I get into the change order totally, we've got, I want to update you on this annexation area. This is the water service area for the Kiwanis Road, Railroad Bed Road, Notorious Russian Road. The service area is all around this outer edge, which will eventually extend water and sewer into the entire proposed annexation, future annexation area as it develops. The blue line that you see is the existing water that has already been installed under these phases. This is Railroad Bed Road, and we have a 12-inch water main on the south side of Railroad Bed Road to the city limits. In the future, that line will continue on to Notorious Rushing Road, back down Notorious Rushing Road, or down Burkhalter Road, and loop back in, so that'll be a loop system. As the development takes place on the north side of Railroad Bed Road, each developer then will extend a 12-inch main within their project, so that eventually we'll have parallel 12-inch mains looping on Railroad Bed Road, and then that will come back across to Notorious Rushing Road and come back to Highway 80 and loop in. As we continue to develop, eventually there'll be a parallel 12-inch water main along Burkhalter Road on the south side of Burkhalter that will eventually go all the way out to Highway 80 and come back to town. Though that's the master plan, the master's concept. As development takes place within this tract, any of these tracts, the developer then will design and pay for the interior water lines that serve that development, and they will loop back out to along railroad bed road. Is there any question on the water before I kind of go over the sewer with you?
Part of what you're talking about tonight for this change order, will you show that on there for the?
Right, that was, previously, the council approved for us to, man, do you remember what the total budget I had on that, for that water, was it 225, 100? On phase one, on extending the water to the city limits. We had come back to you and asked you to increase the budget for phase one of Kawana Road. You had increased the budget by $177,000 to take the water from the point right here where the sewage pump station is onto the city limits. That's the change order that we're coming to you tonight for, which increases, instead of the 170, the total based on quantity installed is $130,278.52. So we came in well with under the budget, and that has the water now all the way. The city limits now is right here. So that has the water to the city limits. And Manny, can you go to sewer for me?
See, this is why we need new software.
But we did have a very good laser pointer that Wayne is working well.
It's simple,
Just
it's
wanna
one
share
button.
that.
And if I have to, I can explain it on the water maps. It just won't be as clear. In phase one, this is, this is Kawana Road, this is Railroad Bed Road. Phase one installed a sewage pump station right at this wetlands area that will eventually service this entire area by gravity sewer and pumps it back to the gravity sewer coming to the wastewater plant.
Is that on right now at all?
That's on. It also, you had previously approved for us to add the gravity sewer back up towards Corner Road, which services this area right in here and picked up the new connection church. I believe it's connection, anyway, the new church, I hope I got that right. And extended gravity sewer underneath the wetlands. We have designed now, we have these two, this parcel of land has been annexed into the city. The master outfall line has been designed to go follow the wetlands, come down to the city limits, and then come up and underneath Railroad Bed Road. In the future, then all of this area will flow down to these lines and then to the sewage pump station. As the developer goes in and develops these parcels, they will install all the interior gravity sewers that get to that master outfall line. We have this area which is already annexed into the city, and we designed that line based on the concept that it being in the wetlands. after seeing some preliminary drawings from the developers, what I'm proposing tonight is that instead of going ahead and install this as it's designed on the edge of the wetlands, that we wait until we get a plan submitted by the developer that shows their road network. The reason being is if we put this in now, the way the preliminary designs we've seen are, then it will be in the backyards of a bunch of houses, which will be a maintenance issue from now on. And if the road network follows this southern side of the property, then we can shift that line up and incorporate it into their road network so that the sewer will actually be accessible and out in the road. So you have approved the design of this sewer to the city limits, and in that approved for us to go forward with the bidding, and we have that in our CIP for both 2015 and 2016, so this project will lap over. The estimate is $625,000 to put that in, but if we wait until the developers actually submit a plan to planning and zoning, then we can shift that design, and I think possibly save us money initially, assist the developer with their project, and also improve the maintenance of that line from now on. And then in the future, we have all the concept lines, and as future land annexes into the city on both north and south of the railroad bed road, all of this area can be brought in to that one sewage pump station. When we do install this through here, just looking ahead to the future, this is Bradford Place. I believe that's Bradford Place. Subdivision, which is already developed and is on septic tanks. Anticipating that at some point in the future, 50, 60 years from now, maybe 70 years from now, that gets annexed into the city and starts having septic tank problems, we will go ahead and stub a line out of this development into the wetland area, so that in the future, if this needs to get on city sewer, it'll be able to go there without going back and disrupting existing development. So that's a long-winded way of asking you to approve change order number 2 in the amount of $130,278.52 for the Kawana Road Water and Sewer Project Phase 1.
Okay. Does council have any questions for Mr. Johnson?
Yes, so right now, it's approved, to go to, the sewer line is approved to go down Railroad Bed Road to right there.
No, it's approved, yeah, to go down the wetlands, south of Railroad Bed Road, to the city limits, which is right here.
Right.
And then extend up along the edge of the wetland or within the development, which is the ideal way, to and under Railroad Bed Road, which will then put sewer on the north side of Railroad Bed Road, which will let all of this area then develop and come to that one point.
Okay.
So basically, what I'm hearing you say, Wayne, is that that installation of sewer will take us to the city limits at this time?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And we're gonna wait to see on that furthest out parcel how it is mapped as to see
Right.
as to where to put the actual.
Whether to
line.
stay right on the edge of the wetlands, which is in the
Right.
backyards of people's houses, or if we can incorporate it into the road network that the developer's gonna put in, which then will make it accessible for maintenance.
Okay.
But this 130,000 is specifically for the water main,
Right. The 130,000 is specifically, for that section of water main to the city limits. In other words, we have not bid this sewer that's gonna go in here yet. This is a phase 1 contract, which takes the water to there and basically closes this project out.
other questions from council?
The developers, who bought the property and, are going to develop it, have they, how long before you think they'll, submit plans?
The last time I spoke with them, they were ready to move forward immediately. We're waiting to hear from their engineers. Their engineer is Maxwell Reddick and Associates, and they're trying to get their developer to set up a meeting with our engineers, Hussey, Gay and Bell, the city manager, myself, and staff to see if we can coordinate these lines within the project.
Well, here's Mr. Maxwell right there. Maybe you have an answer.
Do you have an answer for us?
Actually, at the moment, we are working on some house plans. What the developer's looking to do is promote a residential area that promotes pedestrian traffic, with walking trails. So we're trying to find a floor plan that really works for that particular area. Once we have that floor plan identified, and we hope to have that next week, then we'll start our layout. The original concept was just based off of pods or just generic houses. But since then, we've gone back to the drawing board and really thought about the area and what the community needs. And I think it's very ideal for this location. So, in theory, hopefully we can have some plans submitted to the city within about 30 days.
And once we have plans from Maxwell and approved by planning and zoning, then we can meet our engineer, HDB, Hussey Gate Bell, and the developer's engineer, the city manager, and city staff, and coordinate shifting that design we have now up to within the road network. At that point, we will advertise for bids, and then once we receive those bids, they of course come back to the council for consideration to award the bid.
Okay. Any additional questions? Okay, do I have a consideration of a motion to approve change order number 2 in the amount of $130,278.52 for the Water Road Sewer and Water Project?
Motion approved.
Second.
Do I have any discussion? All in favor, please state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Thank you, Wayne. Agenda item 10 is a consideration of a motion to award general liability and workers' compensation insurance renewal to Travelers Insurance in the amount of $1,039,302. There. Sir.
This is the last year of the 3-year insurance brokerage contract we have. We're now with Lynn Davis, and Sean Davis is here when I'm done if you have any questions. He goes out every year per the contract and tries to find the best deal. Before you have 2 options. One being to stay with our current carrier, One Beacon for general liability, VFIS to cover fire equipment and materials, and workers' comp to stay with our current carrier, German. The second option, which we're recommending, is to stay with Travelers for general liability and workers' comp, and VFIS would stand alone as well. We recommend what seems to be the slightly higher option, Travelers. They would only take our general liability or our workers' comp if we gave them the whole package. It's a slightly higher. We took a little hit on the general liability. It's close to the same on the workers' comp, and I think I need to explain a little bit about our workers' comp. It's not very good. You have to go back
I'm
to
not laughing, I know.
The main difference in going with Travelers is Travelers will cap our workers' comp at $547,000 plus dollars. What that means is if we have $1 million in workers' comp claims, we pay $547,000. Currently, we were on pace to pay $537,000. We've had a couple other claims, and it's going to put us past that mark. Our current workers' comp package we pay a premium each year. This year, it's roughly $362,000. Every claim we have under $50,000, we pay 100% of that claim. It doesn't take long to add up, and a lot of them are under that 50,000 mark, so it's 100% on top of the premium. And our rating's terrible. We went out, we shopped the market. Only 2 people were willing apparently to give us coverage, being Germa and Travelers getting the all-inclusive package. We recommend Travelers. It has a total of $1,039,302. Now with that, you'll have to add the next item on the agenda is VFIS. But we feel that going this route, we'll be able to build up our rating. It'll be beneficial to Travelers to keep us under that amount, because every dollar under the 547 is profit to them. We feel, coupled with the possible new position or partial part of that position, that they'll have some tools to work with. Hopefully in a year our rating will be a lot better than it is now. We can go back on the market, get a better rating, and be competitive in both general liability and workers' comp. Thus the recommendation for Travelers to cover our general liability and workers' comp. If it's approved, we will have to give a 90-day notice to Germa to leave that and go under Travelers for workers' comp. So that's our recommendation.
Do we have any idea what our exposure is once we leave Germa without, you know?
There is and I'll let Sean explain this, there's when the accident happened and when the claim was made,
Right.
If that's what you're asking.
Yeah, I want to know. I know that we're accruing workers' comp debt as we speak.
That's correct.
So once we switch this, I'm wondering what the leftover exposure is going to be.
Mayor, good evening. How are you, Council?
Thanks, Joe.
Thank you. Of course, I'm not the Germa representative, of course, but the current claims that are on the books today, that you have that $50,000 per claim deductible, as those work off, you would be responsible for those claims that happened on their watch up to that deductible. They will still cover the claims. There's no problem with that. It's just you are still on the hook for that $50,000 deductible per incident. So if we have 3 claims on the books today under Germa, you would have to ride those out for your extended deductible after that. That same runoff, as we'll call it, will happen if you stay with Germa. If you ever change, if you extend to Germa next year, you still have the same runoff. That's going to be a constant.
I was just wondering if we had any idea right now what that runoff is. Really?
It
Well, it would be future claims, right?
will be the existing claims.
Existing claims and anything that happens in the next 90 days, right?
That's correct. So it's that chance that we're going to take for those 90-day period anytime you leave Germa. So if you shop the insurance out in 2 years from now, 90 days before doing that, you'd have to extend that notification to Germa, and you would ride the same 90-day chance. Again, those are the same claims you're going to happen again.
What was it? And I don't have it from me. What was our premium last year, excluding the item 11 on here?
Your pure premium was $362,266 plus the deductibles.
Which is totaling how much?
You probably still don't know because they're still running off even from last year.
What is it up to this point?
I would have to defer.
Probably next year, so we're still running off the budget about 190
Germa's estimates were about 190,000 addition to the 360, which came up to about 537, and that was prior to you have an officer go down the line of duty, which I'm sure.
That's what I was.
So you're already blown through the number.
So we're looking at getting close to 600.
Already, 3 months.
So we
3
would
months
be
in.
at 600, and what'd you say the other premium was? 369.
The Germa premium 362,266.
So we're at 962 right now,
Potentially.
potentially.
In layman's terms, as I would take it, is you're basically upfronting $100,000 to cap your potential of this ongoing excessive.
Jeff, do you know what the running, what was it, 2013, 2012? Do you know about the year before? I mean, you're saying this year we're going to be at around 600. What was it? Year before that?
These are rough numbers going from our memory from the meeting. So they have ranged over the last 3 years from about that 800 and something number down to the current projections. So it's been between 8 and 6, 8 and 5.
So Sean, when we're going with travelers, what kind of support will they provide us with workers' comp? Because we heard with Garma we were going to get support and we did not.
That's really what you're buying. Travelers is pretty much industry renowned in their public sector for their loss control support. And there was 2 questions I asked when we started this project: is what do you really want, and do you really want what you want? Because they're going to come in, they're going to do the right things, they're going to use more of a hammer than a feather in dealing with the problem. That's probably what we need at this point. So there is both on-site, there's dedicated loss control engineers, there is web train, which, okay, I'm more of an on-site guy, and I think that's going to be, they will give you a local representative, whether that be a third party or one of the actual travelers' representatives. They can do it either way. You can actually go to Travelers and buy this package. They would have to come in and negotiate 30 to 60, 70,000 if you just went and bought that outside. So that's what they're bringing to the table. And again, as we pointed out, their game is very simple. If you're giving them $500,000, they want to preserve as much of that as they can because that's their profit. Your current situation, 0 to 50, nobody cares because it's your dollar. $0 is their dollar, so they have the incentive to protect the money. That's the change.
I mean, if you want to compare One Beacon and Travelers, you know, you pull out the VFIS because it's constant, and compare those totals with, like Sean says, $100,000+ safety net. And I know me, Jeff, and everybody involved, we see the workers' comp report. Robert come across 2 or 3 a day, all the time. And I really feel like if you want to get serious about correcting this problem, that's the path we need to do. We met as a committee and went over this. Robert was there.
I think you just gave Councilman Britt a heart attack. It's really not 2 or 3 a day, but it is probably a couple of weeks.
There's time when 2 or 3 a day come through. I mean, it's, yes, at least 2 or 3 a week.
Yeah. We're not talking about when the SWAT team does.
Now, that's reports of
That's
injury.
different.
Jeff, you might want to expand on that. It's not, you know, there's not a, we don't have a fatality every day or anything, but it's significant.
Well, the amount of claims has really changed from year to year. It's the type of claims that you have. So you have somebody hurts their back, and it's significant. So you have that whole claim that can run you, and it gives you the perception that there's a lot of claims. Their claims have been pretty much flatlined over the last few years. But the claims are not all go to medical, right? Not all loss. Right? These are be any, but the key thing is we've had a few major ones that have been costly.
That makes very good sense.
Yeah, I
What's
think,
our modifier?
what one?
It's gotta be over 1.
It is, because you've been in a pool, it's an assumed mod, it's not a real mod.
Okay.
Wait, say that again?
Because you've been within the state pool,
Yeah.
it's not a real NCCI mod, it's their modification
But
factor.
we're gonna get a real mod.
You will get a real mod after a year, which we assume, we're hoping that these 10% on $500,000, say $50,000. So if we can employ these tactics and you get a real mod, that credit, you really start clean at this point, is the answer. Coming out of the pool, you start clean.
So we'll start at 1.
Start at 1.
Cross your fingers.
Our hope is that between this new position and the resources that Travelers is going to give us, And we did talk to some other cities that have utilized this same procedure, and they had some good results. So we hope to get some real immediate results this year, and then get that rating down even more, and then we can decide whether we want to put it out again.
And we become competitive. Right now, you know, even Garland, we're not at the top of the list.
So what you're saying is when we leave, they won't cry?
Yeah, we didn't meddle.
We didn't know. Okay.
But I think the group felt this gives a mechanism to actually stop treading water and be progressive.
So when you say that, what does using the hammer and not the feather mean exactly? We
Well,
don't
it
exactly
means-
want to use a hammer on our employees necessarily.
Well, no,
so.
it means this.
Not all of them, anyway. Couple.
Sure.
And I'm going from the loss control techniques. I call soft techniques, or here's a video, let me mail it to you, have your staff watch it. Here's a checklist, go through it with your
Preventative
managers.
stuff and all that.
Correct.
Okay.
Those are soft techniques. Hard techniques are me actually having loss control engineers come in, put their feet on your ground, see the actual problems, come back with the real recommendations with the real problems that you're suffering with. Instead of a general boilerplate, here we just sent you something, that's your loss control check for the year. Travelers going to have real programs installed that can help your people. And they don't want to be hurt. So I think we're doing a service to the employees of the city as well.
Any other questions? If not, then do I have a motion to award general liability and workers' compensation insurance renewal to Travelers Insurance in the amount of $1,039,302.
Approved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Do I have any discussion? All in favor, please,
I do have one quick question.
Okay, sure.
Darren, you mentioned that this is the last year of insurance brokerage for Glenn Davis. Is it, that started in July? I'm trying to remember when we
Insurance
passed that.
renews May 1 every year.
May 1,
So
okay.
we'll have to have another contract in place prior to
You
next.
anticipate doing the same method you did this 2 years ago?
We might, we're considering other options too. The main thing, we want to make sure we have access to all markets. Markets being Travelers and One Beacon and stuff.
Understood.
But,
And that's why we went with the brokerage option in the first place, was to open up the possibility, the people we can buy insurance from.
It is, because the way part of that works is when you announce you're going out for insurance, and Sean will validate this, insurance brokers can lock down markets, you know, whether they use it or not.
The process, in summary, 3 years ago now, 2 years ago, an RFQ for qualifications. There's probably 4 markets, viable markets in Georgia for municipalities. A lot of agencies represent all, some do not, some represent 2, 3, 4. When we first came in, we saved the city of Statesboro over $100,000. Last year we renewed it for the first time, came back in almost $50,000 cheaper again. This was a very odd concept for me to come back in and say, let's spend more money for sort of a defensive position. And I think maybe that's what we're getting out of these long-term relationships. We're looking at what's best for the city, not just shopping a policy, so to speak. But that's what's going on.
Thanks.
Any other discussion? Okay, all in favor, please state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Darren, can you please talk to us about the motion to award a renewal of property, equipment, and vehicle insurance coverage for the fire department to BFIS in the amount of $36,949?
I can. BFIS is a fire department exclusive entity. They'll cover, the personnel coverage and liability will still be under the traveler's policy, that carries through. And this covers the equipment, vehicles, and facilities of the fire department. The benefit for BFIS is anything's damaged, vehicles, whatever, it replaces it at current new prices. So, it's not a reduced value. It also comes with valuable training that's used very frequently. that's the reason we broke it out from the general property coverage, because of the replacement clauses and training.
Darren, point of order then, would, does that 1,039,000 include the VFIS number?
It does not.
Okay, even though it's at the bottom there, it doesn't include that
Yeah,
math.
it
Okay,
doesn't.
I was doing some math here.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
that's why I told you to compare it, you gotta pull the VFIS out of both those totals,
Okay, thanks.
but it does not.
Yeah.
And I think, they've been with VFIS for several years now. Very much approve of it, so.
You wanna say something, Sean?
If I may.
I've got to just really expand on what Mr. Aaron said. The VFIS is, I'm gonna call it the government of the fire departments. The biggest thing with most of the fire chiefs, the safety directors, they want training for their men. Their training is the standard. They get that free if you're a member and a client. The other thing, as far as the practical, physical side of it, is that they ensure by packing lists in particular emergency response vehicles. So if this particular emergency response vehicle is supposed to have all these things on it, it's automatically covered. They're not worried about grabbing their rebreathers or their this tool or their thermal devices and all these things and worry about scheduling. If it's supposed to be on that particular truck, it's covered. The replacement cost is huge because obviously those items, those technology, fire trucks, they all depreciate very rapidly. It's almost considered almost a standard.
Okay. Do we have any questions for Darren before I ask for a motion? All right, do I have a motion to award renewal of property, equipment, and vehicle insurance coverage to VFIS in the amount of $36,949?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, please state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Agenda item 12, consideration of a motion to award the purchase of a service truck for the Fleet Maintenance Division to Summit Truck Equipment in the amount of $119,060. And I challenge you to make this exciting.
I'll lose.
Mine's only $400 difference. That's pretty sick.
This is what we brought before you a few meetings ago. And, we only received one bid, so policy, we have to rebid it. We received two, we could have only received one and still brought it before you as our policy allows. We didn't accept one bid the second time around. We did send this out to several dealers, all of them. I guess it's our belief that it's fairly complicated to work utility bodies on. It has a crane, it involves a lot of bid workup, and the margins on these things are very thin. I know it's hard to believe, but there's not much profit built in these things. But we recommend the low bid Summit for $119,060.
Any questions for Darren? Okay. I have a motion to award the purchase of a service truck for the Fleet Maintenance Division to Summit Truck Equipment in the amount of $119,060.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, please state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Thank you.
Agenda item 13, introduction to the draft of a proposed alcohol ordinance. Getting a little deja vu here, but go ahead. Alvin, and can you pull the microphone up, Alvin? Thank you.
Included in council's packet, Councilman Riggs' suggestion, two versions of the alcohol, two potential versions of revisions of the alcohol ordinance for you to review and consider, and that is where we are, and for y'all to take these and decide how you would like to move forward with them, if at all.
Now, I do have a question. Once, since these have been presented to council, will they be available to the public for their consideration and review?
I think that's for the city council to decide. This is stuff I've worked on, and I guess it's not publicly available at this point, but if to let the council decide whether it wants to release these documents to the public or not.
I'd like for you to, put them on the website.
I guess you don't need to make a motion.
Oh, well, I just don't let discussion amongst council, then I'll ask for a motion.
Motion for what?
If we're looking at,
To put on the website, but we'll wait and see.
I mean, I think you're presenting these documents in a public meeting, don't they, by?
They've been presented only in the council package to you individually.
What were you saying, Councilman?
I'm just saying, I guess if this is what we're reviewing to make a decision. I think we're gonna be talking to people anyway. We're gonna call you guys, call you back. You got a question about this, you got a question about that. I think once we got it. Yeah. I don't think I would make it where Miss Sue is supposed to print off. If somebody wants to come up and says, I need 200 pages, you know, but I think you make it available.
Works for me. Councilman Lewis?
Actually, I really haven't done that. I don't know.
Well, I mean, there's two versions, so, first, not really.
What do you think, don't put a version up?
I would
Well, I mean, an option would be to look at it for the next 2 weeks, at the next meeting, but to go ahead and put it up on the website, and at that point, would you like to do that, Councilman Lewis? Does that sound a little more palatable?
Yes.
Okay. So then we don't need a motion for anything, other than to take these documents and review, and then we'll talk at the next council meeting about whether or not to put it on the website and how to go forward.
Mayor, how do you want us to discussion on it? Let's say we're reading through it, there's something on page 11 that we want to discuss, and Alvin and I have a question, so we want us to go through Alvin, say Alvin, here's what I feel about this, and then we can come back and discuss page 11, or how do we go from here to saying, because I don't think it's, I would doubt that we're gonna go this one or this one. It's gonna be this one with these, or this one with this one, or.
Well, I think if there's gonna be, and this is just me tossing it out, okay? If there's gonna be a sincere effort, and I think, you know, particularly with HB 152, and I'm assuming it's signing at some point, because it was passed, you know, our alcohol ordinance is gonna have to be revised on some level to meet that. And then you've got the issue with, I think, with all these cases coming in front of us, we're realizing that there are issues with it just in and of itself, with the lawyers that stand up there and point out flaws and things that don't connect and those kinds of things. So I think, you know, if we're serious about taking these things and trying to come up with something out of the two, probably need to go back and just say, let's have a work session and try to come down with what it's gonna be. And then let Alvin go back and take the two that we have and come up with what that is and bring it in front of council.
This is a great way to start. I mean, instead of throwing up ideas and saying, let's do this or this, this is a great backbone to work off of.
Okay, what's your question? So, Alvin, did you have a question?
Are you saying that you're not going to make this document publicly available at this point? And you've got copies of it sitting in front of you, and I see two of them right there that say draft. And at the previous meeting, you said that you would be resuming discussion and ask for 2 drafts. Are you saying you're not making these publicly available?
I get scared when you ask a question.
Let
let me just, you know, let me recognize
I
Al.
won't ask the question, I'll say I'm pretty sure this is a public document.
Well, you know what? I'm going to defer to our attorney, Alvin Leapart, to address your question.
Well, I have provided copies of documents and talked about what these documents are to the governing body of the city of Statesboro. I often provide documents to them as an attorney-client work product. Those are generally exempt from disclosure under the Open Records Act. These are things they can review as I understand it. Whether they're
amenable or releasable under the Open Records Act, I would say there, my opinion is they're probably still attorney-client work product at this point. That's why I wanted it to be clear whether council wanted to release these documents to the public. These are legal documents I've prepared for my client to review.
But they're only proposals, right?
Yes, what I'm saying is I prepared something for my client to review, and whether my client wants to release it and make it public is up to my client, not me. So, and I think what Mr. Hackle is saying is, well, maybe it's already public because he can see it in John's hand, and I don't think that makes it publicly disclosed or waives the attorney-client work product privilege to a document because it's visible in a public forum. So the question is, do you want to make these documents, waive any privileges attached to them, and make them available to the public?
So if we were to say, okay, go ahead and set a work session date, right? We set one that will say a work session, and we'll use these two documents as the basis for going forward with that work session, which obviously would be public work session. At this point, I don't necessarily see any reason not to release it. Yeah.
What does it matter?
Right. It's up to y'all.
But I do agree with Alvin in the sense that it is a client attorney work product that would have to have a motion to be released. So I will ask for a motion to release this prior to the work session. And I guess immediately release them if everybody agrees that this is the work product that we're going to work off of in that work session.
Well, let me just go, address Councilman Lewis, if you don't mind. I mean,
Sure.
he suggested maybe delaying and maybe just expound on that a little bit.
Well, what is it he wants? I mean, we haven't discussed him approving it on this from the draft yet, so I mean, what he wants everything we have. Can he present the work session and then you can write from there?
Yeah.
Sure, so could you,
Absolutely.
I mean, just because you see what we have up here, I mean, sometimes, what if you want to do all this now? I mean, you think, because the work session, you're gonna get it even before, I think the time is right now.
No, I personally see no reason why we can't put these out there for public use. I mean, at some point, somebody's gonna, if they're not already been distributed out there already anyway. So, but, yeah, I think it would be a good idea to go ahead and, I mean, give them to Al, let him read through them. He's got nothing better to do for the next 3 days.
Mayor, we've had discussions over those same two drafts, several departments. Has anybody other than the five of us, have you seen them?
Apparently,
these versions, no.
everybody in City Hall.
Not
No,
these
who's
versions.
seen it? Not these versions.
Wendell's seen similar versions. That is within the scope
You've
of
seen
the-
similar, but not.
Well, let me just add, we would like to see
These versions.
these versions.
I'll make a motion to release these documents to the public.
Well, hang on, let me rephrase it if you don't mind, Bill. Do I have a motion to release version A, and attachment A of version A, as well as version B, and attachment A for version B, to the public?
How about if we just make a motion to release these two documents that Alvin has presented us here?
Well, it's got.
In the form that they're currently in.
It's got attachments to it.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
That's fine.
Well, that's what I just said.
They can
Do I
have
have a
glitter on
motion? Do I have a motion?
I make a motion that we,
Release these
release
four
on our city
them. No, you
website.
can second. I've already made that motion.
Do I have a second? Any discussion?
Except I would like to put it in PDF form. So if anybody wants to print it, they can print it all they want.
Yeah, post on the site, sure, go ahead.
My discussion is, I don't, why are we having to make a motion to release it?
because Alvin says it's client.
Because he made it
work.
us and.
I haven't sent it anywhere else but to you five individually.
So it's against the law if I hand this to somebody right now?
No, it's not against the law.
Then what, what I'm saying is we're making it official to distribute it. I mean, if Al wants to come and ask for it, I already got it.
There's a question of whether it's exempt from the Open Records Act because it's attorney-client work product.
So by making the motion,
It
makes
becomes
that.
We're waiving
90
attorney-client
cents any
work
longer.
product on these particular documents, yes.
Okay, any further discussion? All in favor, please state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Now, while we're on this topic, do y'all want to set a work session date? Might as well.
I would like to say at least.
That'll be released
at least a month.
As soon as possible.
At least a month from now, okay?
you do it tomorrow, just tell them they gotta hurry.
I don't think that would give us enough time to advertise it, Councilman Ray. But I do appreciate your zealousness in getting into this topic. So, all right. Let's go ahead and try, seriously, let's go ahead and try to set a work session date if we can do that. Councilman Riggs has suggested a month from now. So obviously that would put us towards Memorial Day. Yeah, I knew that would not work for Councilman Riggs nor Councilman Britt. It was just a gut. So,
26, 27.
that's a month. That gives you a little break after that, after the second
Yeah,
meeting in May.
19th, so we can kinda like talk about the 19th, say, oh, by the way, next week we got this.
You wanna shoot for the 27th or the 28th?
Well, here's the thing, we're gonna wanna have this passed by July 1st, are we not? Isn't that when the licenses renew, or do they renew the calendar year? I can't remember.
I think they renew on a fiscal year.
July 1st?
Yep. Well, it will just have to be one really good work session.
But, I mean, if we don't all agree,
I'm with you guys.
Can their licenses be prorated? If we change our minds on something? No, sounds bad.
I think the ordinance will have a license. You can change the ordinance midstream to regulate the license.
Just so you okay? He's about to have
It changes the except, are the rates for licenses the same this year as they were last year?
As far as I know.
They have not
They
changed?
haven't changed it.
I was under the impression they were going up.
Yeah, there is a chance that they're gonna go up, but we haven't resolved that yet.
I mean, I certainly think if they're gonna go up, we need to alert the license holders sooner than later.
Well,
Meaning, I'd like to hold that
well,
work
the
session
re-
before.
All right, we can go back and say, how about a work session between the two council meetings in May? That's gonna probably be about as reasonably as quick as you can do it.
That's good.
All right, so if everybody wants to look at their calendar.
3 weeks, okay, John?
Perfect.
So you'll be talking about, it looks like the week of
12, 13,
May the 11th. So do you wanna do Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday? Let's pick an 8.
12, 13, 12,
Daytime, nighttime? Evening? Is that amenable to everybody? Okay, you want the evening of the 12th or the 13th? I'm trying to narrow this down. Tuesday or Wednesday?
You have a preference out?
Come on, you're wasting time. Tuesday or Wednesday?
You're gonna not be there one of those days?
Let's just keep it the same, Tuesday.
All right, so that will be Tuesday the 12th, is that correct?
That sounds good.
At what time?
No, Tuesday 13th.
You make it happy,
I'm
huh?
out of town.
So that's Wednesday the 13th. Isn't that right?
What day you have?
Tuesday is.
I'm out of town on the 12th. I'm out of town on the 12th.
Wednesday?
Wednesday the 13th? Okay, what time?
3 p.m.
3 p.m., well, that's interesting, I like it.
I don't want to start at 6 and then this thing go on forever.
You can't let it go on forever.
There's no forever.
Need a timer?
All right, so we're saying Wednesday at 3 on Wednesday the 13th. Wednesday the 13th, a Wednesday at 3.
I prefer the evening.
Do I need a motion to do that?
6 p.m.
And what version of a public meeting is this going to be?
Work session.
Circus version or like non-circus version?
I would probably, say circus
Partial
version.
circus?
Partial circus.
6 p.m. then?
No, 6 p.m.
What? I can't do 3.
Can we do 5? Can we have?
5:30.
We'll give you 5, give you 5, 5, 5.
Got a hand.
5:30 be all right.
5:30.
I have a question.
Probably not right now. We'll get you in a minute.
Okay.
Promise. All right, so let's set a time. What's it gonna be? 5? 5 o'clock sounds like a reasonable time. 5 o'clock, Wednesday, 13th of May. Everybody in agreement?
No work month plans.
Okay. I'm sorry. Well, I'll let you go ahead.
I was just, this is a public work session meeting, so the public is invited to come to this to hear as you guys kind of deliberate through.
And have a chance to speak as well.
Okay, but a large population of, like the college will be out by then. So a lot of students might not be able to stick around to hear some of the decisions that are being made and potentially get a voice.
Well, you know, I wish I could give you a better answer, but under the circumstances, we've got to have a little bit of a time lapse in between.
Well,
So-
since, if I may, we've released the documents, so
You
feel
can
free to
write
contact
whatever you
any of
want.
us with a letter or
Yeah.
comments, and we'd be happy to share those at the public work session.
Absolutely.
And also, we're gonna have, at some point, it'll be brought up for a meeting, and we'll discuss a little bit at the meeting. In between that meeting and the next meeting, there can be more discussion, and then it'll be voted on again.
Great, thank
So
you
you
so
still
much.
got a lot
Sure.
of time, a lot of meetings. Circus is down for a long
A
time.
lot of circumstances. And just to share with you, we do read out loud what is sent, okay? So if y'all send an email or something like that, it will go into the record, okay?
Great, thank you.
I thought you were talking about version 8.
Yeah, we're gonna read it out loud. Alan, go.
Oh, God. The thoughts that go through my head.
You're on the record.
I know, that's why I'm saying, thank goodness, they're just gonna stay right on up in here. All right, is there any, agenda item 14, which is other business from city council? Does council have any other business they'd like to introduce at this time? Okay, I don't have any. We'll move to agenda item 15, which is city manager's comments.
Thank you, Mayor. I've got 2 brief comments. One has to do with just a discussion. Mandy Cody has been working in all of our direction on some design standards, if you want to call it, for South Main Street. And I've given her the task recently of getting those ready and presenting them to the subcommittee, or I guess the South Main Committee, this Friday, with the intent that those would come back to council potentially the first meeting in May. I think there may be some discussion that y'all might want to have amongst yourselves to see if that timeline is still what we want to try to hold, or because she, as you would imagine, has been given a lot of information from a lot of different people, or do we want to do something different? And Mandy, do you want to add anything to that before they discuss? Okay.
I would say, I did discuss this with the mayor, and I would say, from my perspective, you know, Mandy's kind of, I guess she's got kind of a rough draft for the South Main Committee, get it to them, and, you know, they're gonna chew it up and spit it out, and probably need to get another draft before it comes to us anyway, so that, when you guess that's the case.
I believe that's what we talked about. I would agree with that. So if you can just get a rough draft to them and let them look at it and.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what you get them, they're gonna tear it up to a certain extent, so just, you know, give it to
Is
them.
that okay, Robert?
Done is better than perfect.
And that's fine. I think maybe Mandy may feel like she's given it out a couple times in a couple different versions and hadn't gotten much back. So I would challenge them, say, here's an opportunity. Let's get it so you can get it back to council.
We'll light some fires.
There you go.
Mm-hmm. Put it in PDF for it.
The last item I've got is, Mandy made me aware of a Tiger grant, that those have just been, announced, I guess. Those are large federal grants that are.
Stop.
We're getting a tiger?
Stop. You already know what you're doing down
Mike
there.
Tyson had one.
And the good thing about these is not only the amount, but this is, being that the South Main project that we've been working on, one of the items that obviously is going to be a challenge to get it done the way that we want, is to get some additional significant dollars. The Tiger grant would allow that. Now, those, as you would expect, are extremely competitive, and it's federal. And there aren't many, I think you gave less than 10%? 6% were awarded in the last round. I know the city of Delaware got $5 million for a project.
Okay, somebody's gotta tell me what Tiger stands for.
It's not a clear acronym, but it's the National Infrastructure Investments Grant through the Federal Department of Transportation.
Yeah.
Surely you got that.
I'm guessing transportation or something.
Department of Transportation, Tiger, okay.
Yeah, so
It's a federal acronym, of course.
what we're asking y'all tonight is, unfortunately, we just learned about it. The first part that we have to submit would be prior to the next council meeting. It doesn't take us much to put that together. So we would like to get approval to do that. There is some, the county applied under the last round for a Tiger grant and was unsuccessful, and they probably will reapply. So there's a chance we would compete against each other, and obviously we wouldn't want to do that, but it's two completely different projects. So what I'd like to do is put this in, go ahead and submit this, and then that gives us a little bit of time to make a decision on whether we want to get a consultant on board and go further into the design. And if we want to go that route, what do we want to talk to the county about?
Now, what are we talking about money-wise?
This year, the minimum grant that you can apply for is $10 million of funding, and the match would make that at least a $12.5 million project.
So we're getting $4 for every dollar we put in?
We would
If we were awarded the grant. Right?
applying
Yes.
very competitively.
Sure.
A lot of tigers.
Oh.
$12 million, not a lot of tigers.
The minimum project cost is $12.5 million. At least $2.5 million of that has to come out of the match.
Well, and you know, having worked with Dominique over at the city campus, you know, a lot of time these grants, you gotta put it in, you know, the first time and get denied, and then you kind of get familiar with the process, so it's probably a good idea.
More than likely, that would be the case. So we would like to go ahead and learn, I guess. I want time.
Okay.
So
Is
you're
that-
okay
So do
with it?
we have to approve her grant application, do we not?
Yes.
But that's only when the grant application comes up to us.
But it'll come up, they have to send it off before the next meeting is what I'm gathering.
Yeah, we'd just like approval to do that first part of it. And
Okay.
since we have a grant policy that we follow, it allows staff to utilize our resources to do that.
Okay, so then do we have a motion from council to allow staff to submit phase 1
Of the Tiger grant?
of the Tiger grant as stipulated by interim city manager Robert Cheshire?
So, okay, second?
Do you have a second? Any discussion? All in favor, please state by saying aye. Opposed? Motion passes.
Thanks, that's all I have. Thanks.
Ms. Sue, do we have any public comments? Okay, in that case, and before I ask for this motion, I'm going to explain to the folks that are here in class today that I'm going to ask for a motion to enter into executive session, which means if that motion passes, council will go into executive session, everybody will be asked to leave the room. So, it's your lucky day.
Robert, could I update council before we do that, right quick on something?
Okay? I'm going to put you under public comment.
Okay, well, I just, and I apologize for not telling Robert about this earlier, but, just want to make y'all aware, the elevated storage tank at I-16 and 301 is online. The SCADA system is functioning, the water main is online, and all the hydrants out to that point are online and active and live, and we're preparing to bid phase 3. Hopefully we will have that project completed by January of 2016. So just give you a quick update.
Yes, Alan. Thank you, Wayne. Appreciate that.
Real quickly, Alan Walter, Director at Downtown Development Authority. We had our spring in Statesboro this past Saturday. Appreciate Councilman Britt for coming, bringing his whole family. It was, we had about 1,500 people, which we were really excited considering we were putting tents up in the rain as the morning started. But I'd really like to thank the city and their support, and especially Robert Siemens, who we've heard a lot about tonight. I was there at 6:45. He was already there, shut down the streets, had a great crew there, set up the beautification commission's tent, tree board tent, partnered with the Georgia Southern University. Even though we don't have Keep Little Beautiful, he and Lisa Levy took upon themselves to do some street cleanups, had a line of volunteers, and he had his team were experiencing new areas of their work in terms of registering students, which I don't think they were prepared for, but they did a great job. And then, of course, Robert got the Forestry Commission there, got the city's fire engine there, and was there to the very end and made sure the whole place was clean. And the following Monday morning, he had his team back out there again cleaning up. So we had a great event, but it would not have been near as good if Robert Siemens hadn't been there to help us.
Thank you, Robert. Okay, do I have a motion to enter into executive session to discuss personnel matters?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, please state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, we're going to enter into executive session.